Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a video today because there are so many things going on in the world today, and I just wanted to share a couple of things with you. And also, I'm referring to a video in this title, a video that I published a year and a half ago during the first lockdown called "The Light Has Already Won." And in that specific video, I was talking about a lot of the things that we are now starting to see emerge in a more visible way, a more tangible way, let's say. And it's almost like all this energy that was behind the scenes and that we could feel intuitively is now becoming more and more tangible, and that it's like the energies are climaxing as well. And because we're kind of gathering momentum and reaching this climax, what will follow is actually the unveiling, the resolution that we are all so impatient to see on this planet. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things on an earthly level, but also on a spiritual and quantum level. So first of all, you might have noticed that a couple of days ago, Facebook and all the platforms that are associated with Facebook, so WhatsApp and Instagram and so on, had a major blackout. And of course, they are saying it was an outage. But it was not actually an outage. It was something that was more like an attack by the Alliance on the deep state. And even more than an attack, it was more like a warning, in fact. A warning concerning all the censorship that these platforms have been doing in the past 18 months, censoring a lot of opinions and a lot of people. And for me, it was almost like it's a warm-up tour, you know? It's like we're gonna see what happens now and waiting for the other side to respond, and maybe the other side is going to cooperate. But if it doesn't, this kind of thing might happen more and more in the future, and maybe it will also finally happen in a more permanent way. And I'm including this platform that I'm using right now because, of course, you know that it is also not exempt from what I've just said. So, I've been saying for a while that we shouldn't count on social media anymore, we shouldn't depend on it anyway. So I'm really, inviting people onto my website to subscribe to my newsletter, so we don't, lose the connection. But also a platform that for me stands a little bit out of the rest and seems okay for now is Telegram. So if you want to join us on Telegram, you can find the link also in the description box below. And for the other things that are happening in the world, well, first of all, you might know that the US is actually officially bankrupt since last Monday, so it cannot pay its debts anymore. And parallel to that, in China, there was a big real estate bubble that just burst, which created a lot of agitation and turbulence in the economy worldwide. And besides that, China is also deploying some military in Taiwan. There's also some military deployment in Iran, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, I think. So a lot going on a military level as well, which will maybe in the next coming, days, weeks, feed World War III narrative in the media. So this does not mean that there's going to be a World War III, but they're gonna kind of push that narrative in order to create more fear, obviously, but also to create this kind of apocalyptic, concept on this planet, which is not going to happen, by the way. So, we also know that the fall period, and especially October, is known for the stock market crashes. And that's what happened during the year 1929. End of October, there was this huge stock market crash. Same thing happened with the subprimes in 2008. It started, I think, in September, all throughout the fall. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen now, but I can tell you that in this now moment, there is a lot of probability that there's going to be turbulences, at least on many levels. So I'm really not saying that this is the kind of apocalyptic scenario at all. I'm just saying that we're going to go through certain phases of turbulence, and I think we are entering one right now. So just don't panic. We've been talking since a long time about these communication, internet blackouts, which one happened already. And we've been also talking about food shortage. So I knew about this since, a long time ago, but I never felt that it was, the right moment to talk about it. But today I can tell you that I feel it is the right moment to share this with you, because it's always good to prepare in case something happens. So don't panic, don't be fearful about it. Do not go to the stores and start buying everything. Just when you go shopping, buy a little bit more than you used to, so you can start stocking up some food for this winter. And also think about gas, because there might be also some gas shortage during the coming weeks. So make sure that you can, feel secure regarding that as well. Another thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know if you kind of are aware of this, but there are some countries that have completely freed themselves from the grip of the New World Order. And among them we have some Nordic countries such as Sweden, Denmark, Iceland. There is also South Africa that is going through this process right now, and that might, affect the entire African continent. They are freeing themselves from the World Bank and the New World Order. And I think it is said that maybe the next country would be Spain. So wherever you are in the world, and I know that on this channel there might be a lot of people from everywhere. I have also another channel in French, so I talk specifically to a French-speaking audience. I know this is not the case in all countries across the globe. I know in some countries it's the measures are very extreme, especially in Australia. And this is just a message of hope to show you that it is possible. And what happened in those countries is that there were trials. There were trials against the Minister of Health, and they were proved wrong, and they were actually condemned. And now the entire country is freed from this whole fake crisis that we are stuck in. So this is really just to make you feel some hope that it's also going to happen in your country very soon. It's just a matter of time. So just hang in there, especially if you feel, down and depressed concerning this global situation. And what we are experiencing on Earth, which is the path of consciousness, which is kind of like an initiatory path in a way, it's very comparable to the traditional structure of a theater play. So traditionally a theater play has 3 acts or 5 acts, different acts, and these acts are like chapters, different chapters where different things, events will happen. So the first act in general is when we set the stage and we discover the main characters and we discover also the plot, what is happening. Then the second act is when all the challenges happen, all the conflicts, and the main characters have a hard time and they struggle. And at the end of that act, usually, so in the case there is 5 acts, you might see, for example, a kind of a peak in the climax, and things get really, really dramatic. And in that particular moment, we feel that the main character or characters, they feel hopeless. They kind of feel that everything is lost and they are defeated. And this is usually compared to what we can call the dark night of the soul, which is this moment where we are faced with our vulnerability and our shadows and hopelessness in a way. And just after that, there is a kind of sudden event or something that happens, a kind of a momentum that peaks, And this speaks to the climax, which is the last act, so the act 3 or 5. And then just after that there is what we call the dénouement, or the resolution. So the unveiling of everything and a kind of resolution of everything, and everything goes back into balance, and there is victory, and the light is here. So this is something that we also find, of course, in movies now. It's something that we find also in mythology. So it's something very deeply imprinted into the collective human mind. And we all experience that on a certain level personally. And it's very interesting to see that we might go through certain cycles, different cycles, where we experience this same path. And of course, we've been also hearing a lot lately, yeah, but there's no exterior savior, there's no one to save you, you are only your own savior. And of course, this is completely true. But there is something that I wanted to mention about that, is that if we take things and we see things from a higher perspective, so if we see things from the perspective of source, then we are aware that actually there is no interior, exterior. We are not separate from one another, we are one. So this means basically that we are all co-creating together what is called the ascension process, or the liberation of planet Earth. So whether it's a savior that we perceive external or something else, we've created that. And we've created with our thoughts, with our faith, with our vibration, and also with our intention, of course. So we can really compare this to a chessboard. On the chessboard, every piece is on its place, and every piece has really its own role to play. And just one piece on the board might do a move, and it can change the entire outcome of the game. Well, it's exactly the same with us. We are all, pieces on the board, and when we choose something and when we act upon something, we might impact also the final outcome of the collective. So that's how powerful we are, actually. And to give another analogy about this external savior, for example, when we are cooking a delicious meal and we're waiting for our partner to come home, and we're so happy to cook this meal and eat it with them, and we realize while cooking that we forgot a very crucial ingredient for the recipe, and without this ingredient we cannot make the recipe. And suddenly our partner comes home and wow, they thought about buying that same ingredient that was missing. That's incredible. I am saved now because my partner just thought about this. So in this case, what happened is that it's not an external savior. It's just that we, our consciousness, our soul, created a situation where our partner just thought about buying that ingredient so it could bring it back home, so we could finish the recipe and eat this delicious meal together. So this is how the universe works, and this is really the same for what happens on a collective level. So just let's start thinking about things not in a separate way, but really in a unified way, where everything is created and co-created together, and everything is intertwined in a way. So I want to talk a little bit about what is happening now on a spiritual and quantum level. So, as you know, we have this split of timelines, the two collective timelines. So on one side there is this old 3D world timeline, and people that are still clinging on to that timeline. And on the other there is the New Earth timeline, which people who are in a kind of a path of evolution and who are transforming themselves are gradually connecting more and more to that timeline. So, in between that, we have to realize that we are all unique individuals, even though we are one. We are all unique individuals, and we all have a very unique reality. And we are all on our unique timeline. So we are not all on the same timelines, even though these timelines converge. We are all on our own timeline. And within this timeline, there is an infinity of possible timelines. Which means that basically in every moment we have the choice to shift from one timeline to another. This usually happens when we kind of transcend what needs to be transcended within ourselves, when we are faced with our shadows, when we are faced to transform maybe patterns, energies, emotions, etc. But also through the choices that we make and the choices that we act upon. We are therefore changing our vibration and therefore connecting to the higher ascension timelines. So what we also need to notice is that timelines are not linear. Our life is not linear. Life is sinusoidal. It's made of ups and downs and turns and left and right and back and forth, and it's totally normal to experience it that way. So we might experience phases or we have, huge breakdowns, and other phases where we have huge breakthroughs, and it's all part of life. It's all part of the flow of life. And the more we accept that life and the timelines are not linear, the more we can also find peace. It's always interesting to see where we are at in our inner theater play, our inner path. So, and I know a lot of people are having a hard time right now. A lot of people are depressed or feeling hopeless concerning the global situation. In fact, a lot of people are experiencing the dark night of the soul. And what we need to understand is that we cannot see fully the shadow of the collective if we don't see our own shadows first, and even vice versa. So it's always a matter of, becoming aware of what was unconscious. And this is really the process that we've been going through for 18 months now. It's really, unraveling this collective shadow. And as I said in my video, the light has won. The energy was there, but that doesn't mean that at one point things don't need to come up so they can really be seen, and this is what happened. So it's really accepting wherever we are on this, these different phases that we experience on our path. It's really accepting that everything is temporary and everything is always changing, and we are not going to stay stuck forever in one state. So yes, there are really an infinite number of different realities on this earth. We ourselves can experience an infinite number of different timelines. But the question is really what we choose to experience, what we choose to believe. Do we choose to experience a kind of a vibration of light or a vibration of darkness? And which reality do we connect to by doing that? And I also wanted to mention that it's okay if you don't believe that there are certain humans on this planet that are actually doing the good, especially on a military level, as I was saying a year and a half ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you can check out that video and see what I mean. And, it's okay if you don't believe it. And it's okay if you believe it too. It's just a matter of what is going to be beneficial for us in the end. And finally, the only thing I wanted to say is that the light has already won. And you know why the light has already won? Well, because the light is the only thing that exists, and all the rest is just an illusion. See you soon. Sat Nam.